Welcome to Translation Mysteries. In this video, I'll be using live footage from my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 stream. But first, I want to make one thing clear. Localization is an art, not a science. There's almost never a right answer, so these are just my opinions at the end of the day. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
それはみんなにとって負担でしかないよ。
俺は負担だなんて思ってないぜ。
ありがとう。嘘でも嬉しいよ。
Oh, that's really different. Oh, Lord. Okay. It'll depend on what comes next, but that's so... I wouldn't have changed this. This is the first thing I 100% disagree with. He said, kind of you to say in English. And in Japanese, he said thank you first, right? He said thank you. Hearing you say that, he didn't say the hearing you say that part literally, but it's implied. Hearing you say that makes me happy, even if it's a lie. That's really, really different. I feel like that helps a little bit with like seeing where their friendship was before and seeing where it is now, because I feel like Noah probably wouldn't say something like that now, would he? Because that feels a little bit insulting, right? Like, I know you're trying to cheer me up, you don't have to lie to me. Feels like something you wouldn't say to someone who's your good friend. Kind of you to say is very, very plain, I feel like. Huh. Yeah, that... all of the other ones so far has been like, okay, we got some flavor. Okay, I can sort of see where you're going with that. Why would you take out the part where he says that, you know, you can lie? That still makes me happy. It's fine.
嘘じゃねえって。
See? And then Lance says in Japanese, I'm not lying. Whereas he says in English, it's just the truth. But this line, it's just the truth, doesn't come off of the back of anything, right? So there's not necessarily an implication from it's just the truth that Noah thinks that Lance is lying. It can be this thing where you say, oh, I'm just saying the truth, where you're just trying to emphasize that you really mean it. It doesn't necessarily mean that he thinks that Noah thinks that he's lying, right? Yeah, that's incredibly different. I would be really curious to hear why they decided not to go with
これは
what the Japanese said.
負けん。
行くぜ。
Oh.
すげえな。箱も。
Queen's beans. All right, we need a confirmation from Pika in the chat. Queen's beans, British or made up? I gotta know. Obviously, in Japanese, he just said sugoi or sugena, so wow. If you wanted to stay like less creative, you just go whoa, basically.
一つしてね。
We gotta know about Queen's beans. Never heard it before. It's a really funny phrase, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the translator had fun at least.
これはいいよ。
いいよ。それはいらないって意味も？
うん。危なすぎる。
ふーん。ノアはランツたちが死んで。
I thought I didn't know what he said, but I'm pretty sure he said abunasugiru. Abunai is dangerous, so abunasugiru is him saying he doesn't want the sword because the sword is too dangerous. In English, he said it's too strong. So if the translator was trying to keep the part about it being dangerous, it would be like they're trying to imply through saying it's too strong that it is dangerous. But it's interesting that they went with it's too strong when it feels more like Noah is concerned about having something that's too dangerous to be, you know, swinging around. Like he's not ready to use something that's that can maybe hurt his friends if he uses it incorrectly, right? Whereas it's too strong feels a little bit more like Noah saying, I need to be a better swordsman before I can use this. Now, parts of both of those are implied in the other, like saying too strong or too dangerous, but it does feel kind of different, right?
怖いんだ。
戦うのがか。
戦わないと生きていけないこの世界が怖い。そこで生きなきゃならない俺たちが。
What did he say? He's afraid the world is brutal, relentless, or something like that? In Japanese, he said he's afraid because of a world where you have to fight to live. I don't remember the line that came after that, but that is kind of different.
怖い。
ノア
やっぱりリクの見込んだ通りの男も。
え？
You are the man I thought you were, Noah. Nothing about hero material in the Japanese.
確かにこの刀は凄まじい力を持ってるもん。その気になればたくさんの命を奪えるもん。だからその怖さを知る者だけが持つ資格があるもん。ってリクの師匠が言ってたもん。
Okay, so now when we hear this part, we can think back to why didn't he want the sword? Because it was too strong? Because it was too dangerous? Which one is it? Well, in Japanese, he said it's too dangerous. And now we know he's talking about his enemies. He doesn't want something that can, you know, kill so many people so easily, I guess. I guess that sort of applies to saying that the sword is too strong, but I think it fits a little bit better with saying that the sword is dangerous. Okay, so some pretty big changes from these cutscenes. I'm surprised at the one where he said to lands, you know, even if you lie, I'm happy to have you say that.
なかなかどうして感動のお話じゃない。
感動ってのとは違うと思うけどな。でも懐かしいよ。すごく。
That's interesting because for Natsukashi is a very hard word to translate, and you have to do it based on the context. If you're translating this game and you get to this part where he says it's just that it's Natsukashi, chances are you won't actually be able to translate it well because you have to know what he means when he says it's Natsukashi. But he's not saying it right now, so you wouldn't have the context for it. So you'd have to go out of your way to find the information or ask for the information. What does he mean when he says Natsukashi? You can see the English, they've said it's something I miss, which sounds like maybe it's related to his friend dying or whatever. But Natsukashi could have been translated in a lot of different
この武
ways.
器気づいたのミオで2人目なんだぜ。
本当？それってすごいこと？
かなり。
一人目はどんな人？
すごい人だよ。
Dontahito, question mark, in Japanese is something that people ask a lot more often than they do in English. So if you see a localization, they might not translate it straight. But Dontahito means like what kind of person. So as opposed to saying who, she actually said what is that person like? Which is why Noah answered by saying she's incredible, because Mio actually asked him, what is she like, as opposed to who. But yeah, they got to the same place even though they took different paths. My understanding
これでよし。
of what they were going for with the localization early in the game felt more like stay as close as you can to the Japanese, but
イーグスコ場所だな。
when you can, you know, have some flavoring here and there, and that's the sort of translation that I like to see. But now that I'm seeing more of it, it is starting to stray farther away from the type of translation that I would personally like and the type of translation that I would personally do. But still by no means a bad translation, I don't think. It's just I would have to have a conversation with these people and figure out what they're thinking for some of these lines. I thought it was localized by one person, right? Perhaps this section was done by a different person. Yeah, it's definitely localized by different people. Generally, what you would want to do when you go into a project is you have the approach set for everyone so that everyone knows exactly what they're going for. And then everyone who starts out are the translators, right? And then you have to have those translations checked. The fewer editors or the fewer checkers there are, the better, because then they can make sure that everyone's on the same page. Same thing as normal writing, right? So if the editor saw the scene that we just saw where they changed a bunch of stuff, and they saw a different scene where things aren't really changed, they would have to look at those and be like, are these approaches generally the same? Now, there might be multiple editors at that stage, so, you know, it could be that the two people editing different scenes have a little bit of a different idea of what the approach is. And I wouldn't be surprised because the bigger the game is, the more editors you need, right? So it'd be very difficult to have one person check all of it. So there's bound to be some places where the approach feels a little bit different. But I mean, there could be one person that just read every single piece of text in the game. Seems unlikely, but...
That's all for now. There will be more videos coming soon, so if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to discuss the translations live, be sure to drop a follow on Twitch at BrooklynB_JP. We'll also be doing a translation stream of Yokai Watch 4 once I hit 200 followers, so all the more reason to hit that follow button on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.